Greetings! In this tutorial, we're going to go over the UNE Brightspace Interface so you get a feel for where all the tools are located that you'll be able to use to create amazing courses for your students. When you enter from uni.okta.com, this is the first page you'll come to. This is the organizational level page. And here, as it's divided at UNE, is information pretty much on the college level, and we'll go over some of these aspects that are here. At the top of the screen here, this is what's called the Minibar, and this bar will stay consistent no matter where you are in the Brightspace interface. This first button here is the UNE logo, and that will work as the home button. That'll always return you to this organizational sized interface. This button here is a course access tool, and essentially here you will see all the courses that are available to you in Brightspace. And these may be some of your older courses as well, in case you wanted to go back to a closed course to retrieve some information that would serve you in a current course. Now, to make it easier to find the courses that you're most likely using this semester, you can pin it to the top of this list by simply clicking on the pin over at the right. You can do so. You can see that change to black. Now it becomes pinned. If I wanted to unpin it, I could just unclick it and unpin it from the top of my menu. These three tools here are sort of your communication center. Here you'll see alerts by this little orange dot for emails that you received, subscriptions from discussion boards that you've been signed up to, or just some changes or so forth, or updates that have happened to your course. And again, as I said, you'll see that one of those has some information in it by this orange dot here. This area here with your name is sort of your personal information. You might think of it sort of as the settings for your entire Brightspace course. And we'll go into a little bit more detail in that when we get into the course level. Down here, this blue bar is what is called a navigation bar. At the college level here, you have some announcements. Essentially, those will be levels from your announcements from your college level. You'll have access to your calendar tool, which you'll have access to in the next section as well. But one thing I wanted to point out here is the quick Eval Bar. And essentially, if you click on that at this level, it will bring to your attention all the assignments, discussion boards, and so forth that you have to take a look at related to all your current courses. So it's a quick way to see what work you've got to get caught up on to get that feedback back to your students. The data access bar here is is our new Insights portal, and I'm just going to actually click our home button and go back to our organizational page. This data access bar, this is the new Insights portal, and we'll create a separate video and do an entire workshop on this, but it's actually going to be a place to retrieve some wonderful data from the engagement in your course to your learner engagement, assessments, and so forth. So there's a lot of details here that we won't go into right now. Again, go back to my home. And then one really other handy thing here is this help button. You can see you have access to a number of questions. The Brightspace community is always a great source, video tutorials. So if you need some help in Brightspace, this is a great place to check. Of course, you can always reach out to us. Down here in the bottom, these individual white boxes are called widgets. On this organizational level, what you'll see is the announcement widget, and these again would be announcements from your college and so forth. And my course widgets. Here you'll see some visual representations of each of the courses that you have available to you, and you can enter them by clicking on any of these. It's sort of like this course selector tool with pictures. And you can see here the courses I had pinned in my course selection tool are the same ones that are pinned here. Now, just one note here, you can notice you have different ways to divide these courses up within this widget. So I could just bring up just my pinned ones. I could bring all of them, perhaps a semester or sandboxes, whatever. If you don't see your course up here, just double check, make sure you haven't, if you click on the all page, you'll see all the courses you have available, and you'll most likely see your course then. The other thing here is the calendar down here. You'll see some notifications that come from the college level. And that's essentially the nuts and bolts, a real quick view of the organizational level. Now let's jump into a course. And I'm going to jump into my sandbox here. And I can just click on that. and I'll go into the course level. And you can see some of the changes that have taken place. Again, as I mentioned, all these buttons up here stayed exactly the same and serve the same function. Where the big changes occurred was with the widgets and in the navigation bar. Again, the widgets, and you'll see that banner up at the top, which will represent your course, and your course name will be in here. And then you'll see this visual table of contents. And I have started to create some content in this course, so you can see that each of the modules, which are the basic building block of a Brightspace course, are represented here. So I can see week 1, week 2, so on and so forth with the modules that I've created. This announcement widget is where you can create, by clicking on create a new announcement, announcements that will go out right to your students. So when they come into the Brightspace course, they will see that announcement and it'll pop up for them to view. You can see some of the updates that you make to the course, so that could be available to students. And this calendar now moves to a course level. So things that you've added into your course, whether they be content or quizzes or assignments, they'll appear in this calendar for students to sort of see what's coming up next and so forth. The D2L teacher profile here is a great place to add a little bit about yourself. This widget, so students get to sort of familiarize that face and get to learn a little bit more about you. Now let's look at some of the changes that occurred here on the widgets bar, or I'm sorry, on the navigation bar. The course home works like here, except this one will bring back to the course. The content button, which we'll click on just a second, takes you to where you can build your content. Assignments, that's where you'll create assignments and see the assignments that are coming up. Discussions, create the discussion boards for your class. The quizzes, you'll create the quizzes. The Zoom tool will allow you to link directly to a Zoom meeting that you could use for your student office hours or for hybrid type teaching things. Your grades is your grade book. And then your class progress tool, that's a great thing, sort of give you a quick source of data to see how students are doing in your class. And this course tools button here with the drop downs also opens up some additional tools that are available to you. And if you don't see a tool somewhere on this list, by clicking this course admin, it will take you to a page where you'll see all of these different tools that you have available to you to use in the course. And we won't go into all these because there are quite a few amazing tools to build courses. And then again, if we go back to our course home, that will take us to there. And our class list, we'll click here. This is where you'll see who the students are in this class. Right now, this is my sandbox, so I'm the only one listed here. But your full class list would be there. And just sort of check down at the bottom of the page. If you're not seeing everybody, it may not be listing everybody. You can change this depending on how many students you may have in your class. You can change that so you'll be able to see students A to Z as you get there. Again, we'll go back to my course home. Now, one thing I did want to bring that I mentioned when we were looking at the previous interface is this sort of personal notifications bar and so forth. There's a couple of really handy features in here I want to point out. So if I click on my name, this is where I can decide how I want to see my course. Perhaps I've been working in my course and the view I see as a professor is going to look different than that of a student. So if I ever want to see what my view is going to look like as a student, I can click on that view right there and it'll make that change. And again, it looks a little bit different here, and this particular window might not be that big of a change, but you can see as I go to areas of content and so forth, the change is going to look quite different from what it might look like when I'm a professor. Go back to my course homepage here, and if I want to undo that so I'm no longer looking at this as a student, I will go here and click this X, and I'm back to my professor powers. One other thing here is where you can change your profile, and that's where you can add this picture. So again, throughout Brightspace, next to your name, you'll see that picture there. But one thing I want to sort of bring your attention to here is notifications. And I would recommend talking to your students about this as well. So if we go to this notifications window, you'll see here you can change your email settings. Now this, when you first go here, you might see a Brightspace or a Brightspace email address here. And so that students receive any notifications and announcements or emails that you push out to them, I would recommend that they change this to their UNE address. And again, you can just change your email settings, click on that, and change those notification settings. One of the other things here, and again, this is a student-controlled situation. So a student gets to choose the type of notifications they're going to receive. So you may say, hey, I just want to recommend that you click on this to receive a couple of different notifications. And those might be announcements or updates to your announcements. And they can get those via email. Or if you click on the SMX, they can get those via text. So take a look at these, and you don't necessarily want to have them click them all because they'll get a ton of emails and start to ignore them. But there may be some particular ones that you want to highlight that will serve your students best in moving forward in their class. So if you make any changes there, you can just click Save, and you'll come back to this Home button again, or return back to the Course button here. Now that is a quick overview of the interface and the tools that are available to you here. We will go over each of these buttons in creating content in a different video, but this is where we're going to create the nuts and bolts. By clicking on that content, you can see this is where we're going to start to build modules and add items to them modules to begin to build our course. But we'll cover that in another video. So that's a quick look at the interface and the tools available there. Play around in your sandbox, and if you have any questions, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. Be well and have a great day.